What is up, everybody? It is HomiesOfMars back in the day, and today we are doing a comparison guide. I haven't done one of these in, wow, a long time, other than the Huntress and Archer one. I did one, but before that, it's been a little while since I've done an actual item review, or not review, but comparison. And today we're going to take a look at the differences between the Seal of Blasphemous Prayer and the Seal of Blessed Champions, or you can also call them the Oreo and the GCookie, because it kind of does look like an Oreo and a cookie. But anyways, let's take a look at these two and see what's going on. Alright, so let's go ahead and start off with the GCookie. Now, the GCookie is the Tier 6 seal, and this seal is actually really nice. I actually really like the Paladin for what it can do. I mean, it damages and it heals, and damaging, it multiplies how much damage you do. Not the speed, but the amount of damage, and it also does healing, which healing I think multiplies your vitality or something like that. I'm pretty sure it just multiplies your vitality. I'm not sure exactly, but it seems like it probably does about doubling it. That seems about the whenever I take a look at how much my health regens back. It's very, very nice. The Paladin is a very nice a support class, but it's also melee, so it's kind of interesting how it's like a melee support class. I mean, when you think about the warrior, I mean, you could say it's support too, but if you get a warrior and a paladin and a knight all together just going up against one boss, I mean, you got to think about the warrior can multiply the rate of how much you attack, and then the Mr. Paladin can do more damage, and then the knight stuns, so that enemy is going to be killed really quickly. So this class is just one of those classes that really can just make everybody around you do a lot of damage. Now, the Seal of Blessed Champions, it has a range of 7 squares, all right? So that's pretty nice. Definitely wrong seal. So it's pretty nice. You know, it goes pretty much all the way back out to here. And when it gives you healing and damaging for 10 whole seconds, all right? Now, if you guys don't know, but the Tier 6 helmet of the Warrior, it only does 6 seconds of Berserk and Speedy is only to the Warrior himself. So this gives 2 status effects for 10 seconds each, which is very long in my opinion. I mean, 10 seconds in this game is a lot of time. And of course, it gives you 2 vitality and 2 wisdom. It costs 95 MP, so that is a fairly amount. I mean, 100 MP, it's really close to that, and that's also a lot too. So you're not going to be able to spam this that much, depending on how you set up your Paladin. And of course, the Fame bonus is 4%, and I mean, that's pretty much normal for any Tier 6. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Oreo. Now, the Oreo is very interesting. It's probably one of the most interesting abilities, in my opinion, in the game. Now, it is the UT ability, obviously, and what it's unique about it is the fact that it makes yourself invulnerable or invincible for 1.4 seconds. Although it does, you know, it heals and damages, but only for 5 seconds. So that's half the amount of the GCookie, and it only does 5 squares instead of 7. I mean, 5 squares is still pretty close to 7. I mean, if we go ahead and judge this standing right here, it goes out to about here, and then of course if you look at this again, it goes out to about here. So it's only this much difference. So it's not a huge difference, but I mean, I really think the GCookie can cover a lot of distance. But the Seal of Blasphemous Prayer, invincibility. Okay, that's basically, you could take as much damage as you want and you won't die. I mean, when you think about that, I mean, you can sit on Oryx and not die. Of course, it's only for 1.4 seconds. And there is one problem. When you think about, because it's such a small amount of time, you got to think about lag, like, coming into play. Whenever you use the Oreo, you have to think about, you're sending information to the server. And depending on how long it takes for that server to, you know, get the information, it could actually take off some time you have for being invincible. What I mean is, it may not actually register to the other player, to the other enemy shooting you until maybe 0.2, maybe even 3 and 4 seconds later. So it almost removes a good amount of time that you actually don't have. Anyways, I mean, you have like 1 second then, and I've heard that actually be a problem. If you actually go on Rim's channel, he's a RotMG player. He actually talks about why he doesn't use the Seal of Blasphemous Prayer, because he has some lag issues, and everybody has lag. I mean, I have lag, you have lag. Some people have it on higher levels than others. It also depends what server you play on. So sometimes, lag can actually be a really big problem when it comes to the Seal of Blasphemous Prayer. But if you have a good connection, you shouldn't have much of a problem in the first place. But I'm just going to go off this guide without having lag being the problem. I'm just saying that could be a problem for some people. But being invincible for 1.4 seconds does give you enough time to quickly run over orcs if you don't get slowed, but you most likely will. You can do events very, very easily. I mean, with a paladin, if I'm by myself, I have no problem going up to a cube god or doing a skull shrine easily. And you can even use the seal with friends. I mean, you can... Tombing, I find I usually use the seal of Blasphemous Prayer whenever I'm in a tomb. I mean, some people say, yeah, you should probably use the GCookie. But, you know, the Oreo, it does give you 5 speed. That kind of noticeable, really not noticeable at all. I mean, some people might notice it more than others. I personally really don't. But, you know, being able to use this as a tomb, because what happens is, like, oh, you see a couple black bolts coming your way from one of the tomb bosses, go ahead and activate this thing, and you can tank like 500 damage, and it doesn't matter, you know, because those bolts will be over you within a second, as long as you time it right, and you should be able to really take advantage of this invincibility. Now, it does cost 100 MP, but let's also think for a second that the max for the Paladin is 75 Wisdom, so that is a lot of Wisdom, and when you think about it, your wisdom fills up pretty fast, so it doesn't take that long to get back that 100 MP that you made, especially if you're maxed. Now let's talk about the differences. Now obviously, the difference between the Seal of Blasphemous Prayer and the GCookie is the fact that, yeah, it has invincibility, and it's 5 less seconds on damaging and healing. Now, what kind of situation would you find yourself being using the Oreo? Of course, obviously, yes, eventing and doing tombs. I mean, sometimes I would not use the Oreo in a tomb. It just depends what I'm doing. But I think most of the things that the Oreo can't do, like GCookie, I really like using the GCookie in Godlands. Of course, unless I'm running on top of gods, then I'll use, like, sometimes I will literally sit on top of a Leviathan using the Oreo just because I'm funny. I know it's not really the safest thing to do. In fact, the Oreo might get you killed more times than this, because with the GCookie, you usually might want to stay back a little bit more. I wouldn't get in the action. In fact, if I was just only carrying a GCookie and I didn't have an Oreo at all, I wouldn't even bother carrying the D-Blade with me. You know, anytime you see me with a GCookie, I hope, at least I hope, I usually try not to use the D-Blade, because I really only would use the D-Blade with the Oreo. But it depends also what kind of paladin you are. If you're a paladin that wants to use resurrection armor, you know, the armor that gives you a lot more MP, I would suggest not carrying the Oreo. Well, let me think about this. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, when you have resurrection armor, you don't have as much defense, right? You only have 17 defense instead of, well, this gives you 30, and then Acrop gives you 24. So when you think about it, I would not want to put myself in a situation of getting a lot of damage, because what happens when you lose that invulnerability, you still might be a little bit far away from the enemy, but you can still be in the chance of getting a lot of damage. So I personally, I mean, myself, I would rather have a lot more armor and the ability to be invincible than have less armor and being invincible. That's just an opinion. Some of you might think that's different. Maybe you guys think that's completely the wrong idea. That's just me. I love having candy coated on a paladin, because the defense. I mean, this is still only 59 defense, because you have a normal defense max, and you need as much defense as you can, because the seals do not give you defense whatsoever. But when you think about the GCookie, a GCookie is a great all-around thing. I mean, I would definitely. I love doing abysses with friends. I could do an abyss alone if I had the Oreo. But it's a lot easier doing it with a friend or a couple people. And whenever you have this seal, you're pretty much damaging and healing the whole time, because once you use it, in the last 10 seconds, let's see how long 10 seconds lasts. And so we're about halfway. I mean, that was almost halfway, regen back. And of course, you can spam it a couple times, and you really don't need to spam it when you think about it. But you regen your mana back just enough as long as you're maxed. So, I mean, you can pretty much keep a constant stream of damaging and healing, so it really just makes the Paladin a very nice class, in my opinion, especially with the Oreo. Now, here's the thing. You can actually solo with just the Oreo. I mean, if you just want to use the Oreo, that is completely fine. Or if you just want to use the GCookie, that is completely fine. If I were just to use an Oreo, I would probably hang around, you know, at least an Acclaim and a D-Blade. But if I was just using a GCookie, I wouldn't carry a D-Blade. I know I'm carrying 4 swords. That's probably not even worth it. Because when you think about it, I really only use the D-Blade and Acclaim. I mean, I might use the Ancient Stone Sword and maybe the Crystal Sword. But, I mean, you can literally just only use 1 seal. But if you do carry an Oreo, I definitely suggest carrying the GCookie along with that. And this video is getting really long. I might be rambling, but I just got to say the Oreo is a fun ability to run around and almost get yourself killed in. But if you really don't want to put yourself in the front line of fire, then go ahead and sit back, because if you're a paladin with the GCookie only, then that's like pretty much like a priest almost. I would just sit back and, you know, heal your teammates and all that, and, you know, occasionally go in a little bit. Make sure you don't carry a D-Blade. You don't want to sit on things with the GCookie, because you will take a good amount of damage because you're a paladin. Paladin aren't really good at tanking things. But anyways, guys, I hope this wasn't confusing. Again, guys, both of these seals are really nice, but you can definitely solo with one or the other. I actually had a friend that did solo with just the Oreo. That's all he had. He didn't have anything else. He just had the Oreo, and he would have the Crystal Sword. And I wouldn't recommend just carrying a Crystal Sword. I would also recommend having an Acclaim. Have both. But yeah, and you can be a really nice paladin with that. And anyways, guys, hope you have a good rest of the day. I hope this was a good guide for you. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I would like to answer any of them. And anyways, guys, see you guys in the next video.